Hey friends, family, my name's Skylent. Welcome to the channel. Here, I'm going to sort of rant, I guess, about playing massively multiplayer online games completely alone. This is something that is sort of a trend, I think, with a lot of comments asking me, hey Sky, what's the best MMO to play single player? What's the best MMO to play if you don't have friends? Things like that, and it actually recently took off a little bit on the channel with MMO alone, MMO to play alone. And there's a couple of reasons why people might want to play games like that alone. Maybe I could do a whole essay on why I play games like that, massively multiplayer, alone. But today I wanted to talk about that sort of topic, but from reverse, and for a different audience. For people who were interested in playing MMOs, but maybe were holding out, trying to get a guild together ahead of time, trying to make friends or get friends to play with them together. I know a lot of people jump from game to game together, but it's kind of hard to get somebody to join you inside of an MMO, and yet, because of the nature of the genre, you would assume that maybe, possibly, it would be better with friends. But I'm kind of making this video to say, no, it's actually not, and sometimes it is detrimental to your experience. So let me go ahead and give you an example, right? So immediately, you don't bring your friends on dates. No, sometimes you could date a friend, that's possible. You could go on dates with a friend, as in, you go to an amusement park or something together, sure. But if you are trying to date someone else, you don't bring your friend along. And that's just pretty obvious and clear. You want a one-on-one interaction. You want that specific social interaction. But what about the opposite of that? What if you have really no concept of any sort of social interaction? You don't know what's even possible. You just want to put yourself out there. What does that experience look like? Well, that might be going to a concert alone, which is a great way to make friends. It's a great way to meet people, sometimes even find dates. Maybe that's going to bookstores or going out and going to conventions especially, and going alone, going into these populated areas of people all kind of doing a similar activity, and maybe should be something that you want to do as well, and you might be able to find people who are similar to you. That is pretty much succinctly the way to explain the mentality of people who want to play these kind of games alone. You're only alone until you're not. And a lot of people want to try these games out. They want that social interaction. They want to be surrounded by people because maybe eventually they'll party up, slay a dragon, and make a lifetime friend. Some people have even met their wives and husbands inside of these games. You can make best friends and have real adventures, even though it's a video game, but that's what MMOs represent. They are open worlds to explore and meet new people. So no, when you jump into these games or want to, and you want to explore them, you don't need friends to come with you. You don't need friends at all. And in fact, you can play these games really without even the mentality of making friends. And that's kind of the other point that I want to make. Not everything needs to be like I'm finding a wife, or I'm gonna have a date, or I'm gonna make a best friend. It needs to be okay that you can just meet someone in passing. It needs to be okay that you can just say, hey, how was your day? Maybe even not. It needs to be okay just to cooperate with someone or someone's, right? A whole bunch of people to slap down a giant dragon. That in itself is an incredibly unique experience that you're not going to get by playing maybe a game like Dark Souls to an extent, or let's just go, like, obviously single player games, that's pretty clear. But in single player games, at least, you do generally have characters that can fill the void, or you can watch movies and read books and you have these characters, and a lot of the time they will kind of give you the illusion of falling into a world and not being alone. But nothing really replaces an MMORPG, where you're really surrounded by real people making real decisions, talking, chatting, meta events, things like that. And then some sort of dynamic event pops up, or you go and do a raid and you all work together and accomplish a goal. Or maybe it's just a spontaneous naked dance party. Stuff like that. It needs to be okay that, no, you didn't find a forever person there. No, you maybe didn't have what you had preconceived to be a real human connection. But I would ask you to really think about what it even means to have a human connection, because more often than not, it does mean in passing. And you need to realize that those are important too, that those are meaningful. And there are some games entirely designed around giving you that. Now, I have an assumption that if I did this video 5 years ago, when I first thought of the idea, that people would make fun of me and would not get it. But now, in today's age, where it's much more difficult to have those passing moments, where it's much more difficult to have any sort of human connection, I'm assuming that maybe you guys are kind of beginning to understand, beginning to get it. So if you want any passing human connection, you can get that in a number of games, and I want to do more list videos on that. But MMOs are a great escape from loneliness, and sometimes they can make you even more lonely. Really, they parallel the real world. And sometimes that's going to happen in virtual games as well. Not every MMO is going to be incredibly welcoming to you. I know, for example, Final Fantasy XIV, frankly, is not very welcoming to someone like me. Yet, a game like Albion Online or Sandbox MMOs is for me, and some people would find it vice versa, maybe most people. And that's okay. Not every game is going to feel like it's okay for everyone, but that's also part of the game. These are games. Sometimes you might want to play as a villain. Sometimes you want to play as a guild leader. Sometimes you want to play as these different social or role model sort of classes, I guess you could say, these archetypes of people, these archetypes of human civilizations. You can play a different role in all these different games, and I really implore that you guys do that. Explore your whole personality and build your character from these experiences. No, not every game are you going to be a chosen one, and not every game are you going to find an entire guild, a family, a husband or wife, or best friend. You're not going to find that every single time you log in into every single MMO. But what you will find is an incredibly unique experience that you're not going to get in any other genre, specifically when it comes to just the pure concept of social interaction or gamified social interaction. Please keep that in mind. So yes, sometimes you will make a best friend. You might find a wife. You will definitely find, if you really play, you will find some guilds. You will make like families out of people. It can be really great, but you do have to put in a little bit of work and a little bit of effort. And firstly, I think you need to go into these games sort of with wide-eyed wonder. Even if the game maybe isn't exactly mechanically your flavor or what you are experienced in, just go in sort of open to some different concepts than you're used to. In racing games, the goal is to be fastest. In fighting games, the goal is to be the strongest, the best. In MMOs, you don't really win them. You don't really beat them. The goal is different for everyone, even the most strictest of theme parks games. Some of them are very meta. Some of them, your goal could be to become the guild treasurer. Some of them, it's just to go in and feel not so alone. And you need to be okay with that. It's okay not to have friends. It's okay to even want to be alone. It's okay to play solo. All of this is absolutely okay. And in fact, it's welcomed. In the game design, at least. I just think a lot of players have misconceptions going into it. But now in today's world, maybe you're more susceptible to being a little bit more open-minded. So that's all I can say, basically, is I'm just going to spit out a moral. I'll give you 10 minutes. There it is. I hope you guys have fun and look forward to list videos of games that are more welcoming to players who are alone and looking to play with friends, or maybe even videos of people who just want to play completely alone and compete with a massive number of players. Again, there's lots of different players out there, lots of different ways of playing, but just in the end, it's okay to be alone. You're only alone until you're not. Thanks for watching, friends and family. I'll see you in the next one.